What's up, fans of Review and Preview? We are in the meat of NFL draft season. My name is Tom Scavetta, joined alongside my co-host for this episode and draft prospect breakdown, Noah Dog Dibler, big fan of the Georgia Bulldogs. Great time to be a Georgia fan. Noah, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. It is, of course, as always, the past 2 years. Great time to be a Georgia fan. But for once, I'm not going to be talking about a Georgia guy in this one. We are going to talk about an SEC guy, though, in Kentucky quarterback Will Levis. Got a lot to say about this guy. Definitely a guy I've talked about a lot over on my own college football podcast. Very talented player. Interesting player for sure, and a guy that's getting a lot of attention recently. So it should be a good one. But yeah, I'm doing great, man. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing excellent. Really excited. But before we dive into Will Levis, quick reminder, folks, quick courtesy call. Follow us on all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook at Review and Preview. We're on Anchor as well. We also do have a TikTok account where we've been posting some quality content. Check out all our NFL draft film breakdowns and player analysis on the Review and Preview Sports YouTube channel. And that is right, Noah. Kentucky quarterback Will Levis, a redshirt senior, 6'4", 229 pounds. And Noah, he originally did not start his collegiate career at Kentucky. In fact, he attended Penn State from 2018 to 2020. During the COVID year, he transferred to UK, where he played his final 2 seasons. And 2021, to me, is where he really stood out. He started all 13 games. He threw for 2,800 yards, completing 66% of his passes, 24 touchdown passes, and 9 rushing touchdowns. So if you do the math, it's really 33 touchdowns. Now, the interception number at 13 is a bit high for 13 games. You're averaging 1 per game. But talk to me, man. I mean, 2021, much better year for him than 2022. Again, I know Levis was dealing with a lot of injuries this year, the foot, finger, and shoulder injuries, but
Right.
that dude is a tough son of a gun. I mean, I think people are gutting too hard on him. They're too caught up in the turnovers. I think this guy has great potential. He's a tough guy who can play through injuries.
Well, look, my thing with Will Levis is, so, like you said, he came on the scene in 2021. Obviously, he played a little bit before that, but 2021 was, really when people started to take notice of him. And during that year, I was really a big fan of him. I mean, obviously, you mentioned the turnovers, which are kind of always the thing with him. But like you said, very talented guy. He has elite arm strength, and, he's a bit hit or miss with his progressions at times, but he has shown on occasion, he can make tight throws under pressure, maybe not consistently, but he has the ability to do it. I think the thing with Will Levis, and it's pretty much the exact same as Anthony Richardson, although I think Richardson's getting more hype than Levis is, it's all about the potential, right? The fact this guy can throw the football 80 yards doesn't even look like it's difficult to him. He's not what I'd call necessarily maybe a dual threat, but he did score 9 rushing touchdowns in 2021. So he has the ability when he wants to. I just think he's a guy that's more looking to pass first. And then if the run is there, he is able to take it. 98 runs in 2021. And last year he had 45. So again, not a guy that's doing designed runs consistently by any means. But if there is something there, he can get out. He's not like a statue or anything like that. But overall, it's the same thing with, Richardson. His weaknesses are more nothing physical. It's about intangibles, right? Going through progressions, reading coverages, making the right decision. That's why his turnover numbers are so high. That's why occasionally he has some inaccurate passes here and there, even though overall his completion percentage is pretty strong last year. I think it was around 65%. So he is a guy I do like. I understand why he is rated so high. The only issue I have with Will Levis is when people say like, "Oh, this is a guy that should go number 1 overall or top 5 overall." I don't quite see that with him. I think that's overrating his potential a little bit. I think he's a guy that should be drafted a little bit later and then developed. Coached up. And if he is coached up, I think he'd be a very good quarterback. But, when you're talking number 1 overall pick, Tom, for a quarterback, I think you're talking a guy that you already know, like barring something ridiculous, he should be the real deal. Obviously, that doesn't happen. You could get Andrew Luck or you could get Baker Mayfield. It's the NFL draft. It's always a crapshoot. But I think for Will Levis, there's too many question marks for me right now to completely hang my hat on getting him like number one overall.
Yeah, definitely not the number one overall pick. And that was a great analysis, by the way. I do somewhat agree. I don't think he's ready to be a full time starter week one.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can go anywhere between the 4 to 15 pick range. Usually in that range, you want an immediate starter. So you would like to think a quarterback hungry team goes after him. For instance, the Indianapolis Colts have been tied to him. He's also
Yeah,
met with your Atlanta Falcons. I know you drafted Ritter last season, and that's probably who you roll with, but he has met with Atlanta. He's also
right.
met with Carolina. He's met with the Raiders, the Texans, the Titans, and the Bucks, even though the Bucks have both Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask on the roster. Um, it's always good to get competition for a lot of these teams, but I think the biggest quarterback hungry teams are the Carolina Panthers and the Indianapolis Colts. I think those are the two teams with the biggest gaping holes at the QB position since the
Mm-hmm.
Raiders got Jimmy Garoppolo. You could argue the Houston Texans as well. Um, even though Davis Mills has been a decent band-aid type of stopgap option the last couple of years. Again,
Mm-hmm.
I think anywhere between the 4 to 15 pick range. I think what hurts him, we know he's fast and we know he's physical. He did not run a 40-yard dash, but he does have a 34-inch vertical, which I'm really excited to see. Duke can jump. He's really good throwing the ball. Quick, crisp sidearm release, very similar to Matthew Stafford. And we were talking about this a couple of minutes before we went live. His pro comparison is Jay Cutler. What do you think of that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree? Do you think he is that type of caliber quarterback?
Yeah, I think it's a great comparison, actually. I think Jay Cutler, a guy, big arm, but struggle with accuracy here and there, struggle with turnovers. But I think the main thing that you kind of hit on with Jay Cutler there that I remember, being mentioned with him, and heard mentioned with Levis a little bit. I don't want to, say bad character, but have heard some scouts maybe question his leadership skills a bit. And obviously, you remember with Cutler a lot, him moping on the sidelines or whatever, or yeah, arguing with coaches or whatnot. And I'm not saying whether he was right or wrong in that situation. I don't know the whole thing. I'm not a Bears fan, but I do remember stuff like that with Cutler. But again, I mean, you have to remember Will Levis is a college kid. That can always change in the NFL. And I remember tons of players that acted like knuckleheads in college ended up being great in the NFL, and guys that looked like model professionals in college. It just didn't work out. The most important thing is talent, and he has a lot of that. I think the Colts he brought up is a really interesting one. They desperately need a quarterback. Matt Ryan didn't work out, and he's a free agent now. They don't really have anybody else. The only thing I'd say against Carolina is, once again, they're picking number one since they traded up for it, and I don't think he's going to go number one. I think if they take a quarterback, that's tough. I'd say either Young or Stroud. I don't know why. This just gut feeling. I think they might take Stroud, even though I think Young is a better prospect. But that's not what we're talking about. I think Levis is probably going to go in the top 10. I don't know exactly where. I don't know if we'll go in the top 5 because, again, I mean, this draft for quarterbacks is absolutely stacked pretty much, and there's a lot of great players in this draft. But I do think that 5 to 10 range is probably a pretty good bet for Levis this year.
I agree, but without further ado, let's get into the film breakdown and talk about this guy. We have 4 plays in total we're going to go over. I'll share my screen here, pull it up. So the first play here, I mean, this is a pure display of his strong arm velocity, a throw against the Florida Gators, which I'm sure you really loved to see. The Gators
Yes.
were riding high after starting off the season 1-0. I think they played Kentucky again in the Swamp in week 2, and then they just hit a wall against Will Levis. And you can see here, strong arm with high levels of velocity. Again, this is a play fake here. He sells the defense. You see all the Gator defenders in the box,
Mm-hmm.
and the secondary is biting as well. So this is a good sell by Levis. And then look at his eyes. He's looking at the target. I mean, look at that tight spiral, Noah. I mean, it's got
Yeah.
beautiful hang time. Incredible. Walk me through that
Yeah.
play. I mean, this was just a real piece of art here.
There's a lot to love here. First of all, he sells the fake perfectly, like you say. Safety's coming up. Defensive linemen are too busy engaging with the offensive line, and then obviously the arm strength. I mean, he's throwing this from a 37-yard line, and you mentioned a tight spiral. It's a great throw as well into coverage as well. This isn't an easy throw to make, but he trusts his receiver on the jump ball to go up, and he makes a great catch as well. Credit to him. But a lot to like there. Great fake, great arm strength. Accuracy is good. He's very good with long to intermediate range accuracy. So fantastic play there. And obviously, like you said, against the Florida Gators, I have to give him a little bit more respect for that. Fantastic play on that one.
Absolutely. You got one more look at it. Great body work by the receiver as
Yep.
well. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Now, we all know he's been tabbed with inconsistent field vision and anticipation. I think he needs to process pressure better, but when he has a clean pocket, he could potentially be as good as it gets. But let's look at this next play. This is against Youngstown State. This is a run he has. This displays how good he is running the football. Again, this is a 3-receiver set with the tight end split out to the left side of the line there with the running back in the shotgun. And again, you see they're bringing pressure right up the middle. So what does Levis do? He eludes it, gets away from it. And again, he's not selling the run just yet. He sort of does. He does a quick play fake there and takes off.
Well, the thing I love about this play, Tom, that I kind of mentioned earlier is that Will Levis does have mobility, but he's not a design runner. This wasn't a design run play. We see as he breaks out of the pocket, first of all, there's a guy that instantly pressures him on the blitz. We're going to see it here. Guy instantly breaks through. He has to make a decision here. But we see Tom as he's running. He's still looking downfield, trying to make a pass. This isn't a design run by any means. He just realizes no one's open. And he has to make a play. I do like the athleticism and mobility here to make a play out of pretty much a busted play with a defender coming right through. The only thing I will say here that I don't like, he's got to find a way to get down. He cannot be taking a hit like this as a quarterback, especially at the professional level. Could really get severely injured doing something like that.
Yeah, he is strong, though, kind of running like a much quicker Ben Roethlisberger. And I say that not just because he wears number 7, but the physical style of running. Now, we all know Roethlisberger was extremely far from a runner. He was everything but that. But when Roethlisberger took off, he barreled over defenders. And you kind of get that vibe there on that run. Obviously, Levis is much, much faster. This next play, we're going to see another play action with him against Missouri. Again, this looks like they're deep in their own territory here. And you'll see just an on-target throw. I mean, look at all the players in the box, Noah. I mean, let's see. 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and it looks like you have another edge guy here. That might be a corner.
Yeah.
Weak side corner. And again, I think the fact that he sells the play fake, these linebackers don't have time to recover and drop back into their zones accordingly. And there's the pressure.
Yeah, I absolutely love this play because, like you said, Tom, it's an 8-man front. He's able to sell the play action perfectly, even though they are bringing pressure. There is pressure coming through, but I will say the Kentucky offensive line gives them just enough time to sell that fake, look for a man, and this is a phenomenal throw to the sideline. It's not an easy throw to make, and the coverage isn't half bad either, but he's able to throw it to where only his receiver can get on the sideline. That was a great throw. But I got to say, Tom, as we move to his final play, this was probably my favorite play of the lot from Will Levis. It's against my Georgia Bulldogs, I will admit, but it was just a phenomenal play here. We're going to see this is late in the fourth quarter. Kentucky was down, I believe, 16-0 or something like that at this point, maybe 16-3. I don't remember exactly what the score was, but we see Tom instantly pressured, double coverage, and it's a perfect pass to a guy. I mean, we'll watch this again in real time, but I mean, he has no time to throw. Georgia instantly gets through. A guy in the edge there we see breaking through right away, and then another guy comes late right there, and he just calmly, completely under pressure, he takes a hit as well, delivers a rocket strike to midfield, between Chris Smith and a cornerback. And it's just, I mean, a phenomenal play under pressure, 50-yard strike like it's nothing to a guy that's double covered. This was an absolutely incredible play. And I remember watching it live and I was like, you know what? This absolutely sucks, but I got to give you respect because, I mean, two guys right on him pretty much ready to hit him, absolutely blast him into oblivion. And we see him taking the hit right there. No problem at all. Just perfectly on target. Strong throw, double covered. Great catch as well. Phenomenal play.
Yeah, you name it. Great throw. And again, that was a very low scoring game as
Yep.
well. Kentucky's offense could not get much going
Mm-hmm.
that game because of Georgia's stout defense. But Levis made some really tough guy throws this year, and it was on full display right there against the best team in the nation. Just goes to show you how good he can be. Obviously, you can't go up against NFL players in college, but you can go up against players who are near reaching that next level. And Georgia is one of
Mm-hmm.
those teams. If you have a good game against them, you can definitely make it at
Yeah,
the NFL level.
no question.
But that's going to do it for our film breakdown on Will Levis. I want to throw in one more fun fact, though. I was doing some research, and I don't know if you saw the video. It kind of went viral on social media. He eats bananas with the peel on. Did you see that? That is gross.
Tom, I
don't know what
actually
to think of
didn't.
that.
I didn't know about that one. I thought you were going to mention another one I've seen, which is absolutely disgusting, which is he puts mayonnaise in his coffee,
It's coffee.
which
Yeah.
is just, hey, man, you know, I will say this for Will Levis. We're not ranking his taste buds because if we were, he'd be an undrafted free agent, probably never play in the NFL. Good thing he's talented.
Absolutely. I mean, you just said it. He really is a tough guy, but yeah, some weird taste. That's okay. Will Levis projected to go early to mid 1st round in the 2023 NFL draft. Noah, appreciate you joining me as always to break down NFL draft prospects. We have a bunch in the coming days on the Georgia Bulldogs. There's 2 out already on Nolan Smith and Kenny McIntosh. There's also one from last week out on quarterback Stetson Bennett. Make sure you go check all 3 of those Georgia videos out. They're always well represented in the NFL draft each and every year. And finally, check us out on all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Anchor, TikTok, you name it. We have it all for you. We're producing content day in and day out. We're looking to get up at least one prospect video every day leading up to the draft. So if you want all the best late up-to-date news on your favorite draft prospects, Review and Preview Sports is the place to come. Noah, thank you once again.
Absolutely, man. Pleasure to be on as always.